And I take a very holistic approach in my clinic. There's no, let's just treat the weight loss. Like that's never, ever happens. It's like, what is driving this? What's happening on the inside? It's probably thyroid or inflammation of sorts, hormone imbalances, insulin resistance, all of these things.
Hello and welcome to the Healthy Business Lab podcast, where we interview awesome allied health and related business owners to get insights, learnings, and just share experiences. And today I'm super excited to have Pip Reed from Pip Reed Nutrition on the call today to share some amazing insights. I've already had a chat with her a month or so ago, and I'm excited for what she's going to share today. And so welcome, Pip.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
That's great. And I guess the name of your business says a little bit about your background, but I'd love you just to delve into your background and your business a little bit to give our listeners a bit of an insight as to you and your expertise.
Yes. So Pip Reed Nutrition, probably a bit of a giveaway of what I do. I'm a nutritionist. So I'm a clinical nutritionist. So I have a clinic in Bowral. I work online and I am starting a new clinic in Sydney in a couple of weeks' time, which is amazing. I'm a clinical nutritionist. So I see clients in clinic, so working one-on-one with a lot of clients. I first started about 12 years ago. I think I finished studying, which says a lot about age. It was my second degree as well, so it says even more about my age. And I dove straight in. I feel like nutrition was not a very prominent practice 12 plus years ago. And straight in and hit the ground running and haven't really looked back.
Love it. And I think it's one of these things, as being in the space for a long time and following that business ownership a sort of journey and the like, what I love to share on these calls is many things that many business owners and a lot of general people out there in the world don't look after themselves, but especially business owners, and especially in this space that are always looking after other people. It's that idea of the reminder of, hey, we need to look after ourselves to provide what we do for our clients. I'd love for your insights on, especially business owners looking after themselves from a nutrition standpoint that can give them that little extra little boost to what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say I also have a business marketing degree, and I thought that would help me in my nutrition, but it hasn't done a thing. So I feel very much like many, many practitioners out there who we go into health and nutrition and naturopathy or whatever it is that calls us from a very giving point of view. Like there's something in our personality that we're maybe people-pleasing tendencies, but definitely on this mission to help as many people as we can. I know that I'm definitely suffer from that, a big empath. So yes, it has been quite a journey, and it's an ongoing journey, I find, to look after myself while servicing my clients. And it's always learning. For me, I really have to exercise. I 100% need to get up in the morning, and even if it's 10 minutes doing something to get me into that, not thinking about the computer and my client's headspace, because I really think about them all the time and who I'm seeing that day and how I'm going to help them and what stage we're at. Like, it's just a never-ending journey. But to get some time to myself and go, right, we're going to start the day with this. And it's not about really working out for appearances. It's really mental health for me. And then I have to set myself up for the day and make sure that I'm not running on caffeine, that I'm actually stopping to eat. I tell my clients all the time, you need to eat this way, and then I might not do it myself. So yeah, I really suffer from that. And then you are doing your clients a disservice as well, because you get to the end of the day and your brain is just mush and you've talked so much and your blood sugar's so low. So making sure that I look after myself, and it's such a big part of what I do.
Yeah, that is. And I'd love to you touch upon that of fueling the body to help you get through the day at your peak, at your best. Any quick little tips and recommendations around that, fueling the body for consistency and the like, that you do try to implement for yourself, or you recommend your clients do, that business owners could take a little golden nugget to just be mindful of a way of looking after themselves?
Looking after themselves food-wise. Absolutely, it's got to be protein, because if you get to the end of the day and you've got the shake and prone to those blood glucose lows, and you're going to grab whatever you can, and it might be those high carb, high sugar fixes, which we're just trying to get yourself back up. Whereas if you've spent the day and you've had a decent breakfast, I'm a big fan of, a protein bread with some goat's cheese and avocado. And that way, that's a great way to start the day, really good fiber, stabilize that energy. So by lunchtime, even if it's just a quick salad with some protein or some boiled eggs or something that's just going to sustain me so that I can get to that 4 o'clock, maybe needing a snack, if not through to dinner. Obviously, lots of water as well. But even if you've got some nuts and seeds and some medjool dates, there's one of my go-tos as well. Yes.
Literally writing that down now, because I used to have medjool dates sitting in the fridge there actually quite regularly, but I actually thought about it the other day because you got some more of the dried dates variety there that our daughter, our little 3-year-old, loves. I'm like, actually, I need to get some medjool dates back.
Yes, they're so fabulous. And I think everyone gets so scared of sugar. But it's such a medjool dates, because of the fiber content. They're so good for you. They're not going to spike that blood sugar. They're just going to give you that little pep. And teaming it with some protein, healthy fats like nuts and seeds and things is obviously going to sustain you for a little bit longer. So it's really simple. I feel like this advice has been around forever. And with my clients, we're probably on a deeper level of doing this. But for me personally, and for other practitioners who may have a good diet already, then just making sure that you've got these little tips and tricks up your sleeve to get you through the day.
Yeah, 100%. And for me, it is those tweaks. Again, I like to think that I eat relatively well from that. And again, a couple of things you just even mentioned is a different example of a breakfast that could be happening. Or it's like that behind my whiteboard over there on my shelves, I do have some nuts in there. And it's like, actually, again, just hearing somebody reinforce it, a reminder or a tweak, it's like, oh, those nuts with a medjool date on the side, it's like, actually, I don't mind that. It gives me a bit of both. So again, I tend to find it's useful if it has been around for ages. It's just those reminders, and especially, again, and you've an example yourself. Sometimes we forget about it. We lose track of it ourselves.
We're overloaded with information too. And I love like that to be such a key message. Let's just don't need to be buying all these processed foods and snacks. Like, just look at what's natural, what you can have in your fridge. Pre-boil some eggs the night before, have that available. It'll make the world of difference. I've even taken to eating those Serena tuna in a jar. Just that's 2 serves in one. And it just really gives you that, okay, I can cope now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm loving this. I'm feeling pretty good about myself as well. I like my Serena tuna with a little bit of salad at lunchtime, and you're talking through those light options as well, rather than, I know back in the day when I probably didn't look after myself, I had a big stodgy lunch, and that's when you'd have the drop off in the middle of the afternoon. And
absolutely. And that comes back to that fueling at breakfast time, especially, if you're eating the right food and you're eating your medium chain triglycerides, so MCT, so your goat's cheese or having an oil or coconut-based products, it's really going to stabilize that blood sugar as well.
Love that. And I can already know that there's people out there listening, getting some very key things, probably just changing some of their thought processes around what they can do to fuel their body, which will set them up for the day and looking after themselves and their clients. But I'd love to now just sort of move through to some of the more business side of things. And you touched upon it at the very start there, been in business for around 12 years. When we first spoke a little while ago, that you'd made the mention of some point it felt like a bit of a hobby for part of it. And it's like, now I'm starting to get quite serious in the business side of things. Yeah. And we love to talk about experiments in business here. So again, we talked about it. It's like, that's actually brilliant. And that's exactly what this podcast is about, to learn. Well, hey, what experiments have you actually tried across those years? And what have you found? What have you learned?
So, well, I've done so much, Craig. Like, when I first started, this was pre-kids, and straight in, one of the biggest, I think, positive effects when I first started, I joined a clinic that was run by a skin expert, an esthetician named Melanie Grant, and we were both starting out together. And so I learned straight away how much better the success rates you got with your clients by working together with multimodalities. So that was always a big takeaway from me, that learning, treating my clients inside out and being able to work with other practitioners has always been fantastic. Then I went on to have children. I worked in other clinics. I worked in a physiotherapist clinic, so I've probably changed focus throughout it. Women's health has always been a highlight. Hormone health has always been a big one. And I feel like that's key too for a lot of practitioners listening, is really hone in on what you're good at. make that your focus. You will find that you do end up treating everything. Do not get me wrong. I have seen everything in clinic, but that people are coming to see you going, I probably here, I think I've got a hormone imbalance. And I can say, well, but let's look at XYZ. And then you get to the bottom of what's going on. And probably there is a hormone imbalance, but what's driving it? So I think for a lot of practitioners to take away that find what you love and what you're really passionate about and really hone in on that, because you're going to get your clients the best results, instead of that jack of all trades, being a bit more of an expert in specialized areas.
Yeah, I love that. And it's actually been a bit of a theme from some of our early interviews, that idea of as people have experimented and refined either their expertise / the type of people they love working with, by being able to sort of really hone in, and using your words, the honing in on that has actually helped the wider practice, the outcomes, and then obviously the ripple effect.
Yeah. And then you meet like other practitioners who have the same passion, and it's a beautiful kind of snowball effect. You start to work, and I work with a very amazing integrative doctor, so we run case studies by each other. Just little bits of advice. Like neither of us are even crossing over with clients, but it's more about having that community. I think that's really key, because it can be a lonely job. I have learned that along the way. You're very much, well, I work by myself, apart from getting this community of doctors, and you're really focused on other people's problems all the time. So it can get to you. Having an outlet is key, I think, as well.
I'd love to sort of go into that community. How have you gone about finding your communities and the like, and even that experimenting of trying different approaches with connecting with the different modalities in the space, connecting with the different types of business owners in the space to get that sense of community?
Yeah, I'm very much about flow, and you'll know if they're your person. Working with Dr. Agnes, I listened to a podcast and she was on there. And then I reached out, and she creates this amazing supplement called BioAli. And watch this space. It's so fabulous. The results that we're getting through our clients are just exceptional. And she's so passionate about what she does. So I just reached out and I was like, I'd love to try your product. I'd love to stock your product. That's been the on-flow effect of how can we support each other? Let's run this case study together. And now she's even pitching me to do some speaking at events that she would usually do as well. I think it's about find the people that you love, even on social media, and follow them and find an avenue to get to talk to them, as most people really want to help other people.
Yeah, I love that. There's a few little pieces of that. Your mention of let's run a case study. I'm a big fan of running a pilot or doing, again, it's that sort of first stage of experimenting. Let's have an idea. Hey, this could work, or this opportunity, let's do something. Let's unpack that case study a little bit. No, not necessarily in that specific, but even the thinking and the process that you go through around putting a case study in place, working on that in its infancy.
Well, it's very much about obviously finding the client that meet the criteria. If I'm talking about my relationship with the BioAli team, from a practitioner point of view, when I'm putting my client case study together, it'll be meeting certain criteria, before and after photos. It's probably more about the criteria. And then we come together and we discuss it. And we discuss it from a point of view of not just like how I would treat them, but what would they do? What would you do differently? What maybe something I've missed that I should focus on, especially if you're in that, this hasn't worked the way I thought it would. That's such a fabulous way to have this group of people to, and it's excellent. I should point this out for other practitioners. Your supplement reps are fantastic to work with. My supplement reps are my friends now. I've been working together for so long, and they're never salesy. It's not about like, oh, you need XYZ supplement. It's this chat that we get to have together about clients and what's worked, what's not worked. Maybe we should try this testing. Have I overlooked this? And it's just more this like community. Like these clients don't realize how many people are actually behind the scenes helping them and working on what's going on.
Which, and I love that again, even that experimenting of being in flow, finding the right people. And again, if reps, for example, the spider's web of people that sort of goes behind all this is finding the right community that's the right fit to get the right outcome for the type of clientele that you're actually looking for, and being conscious of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I take a very holistic approach in my clinic. There's no, let's just treat the weight loss. Like that's never, ever happens. It's like, what is driving this? What's happening on the inside? It's probably thyroid or inflammation of sorts, hormone imbalances, insulin resistance, all of these things. And I think you're going to need a team behind functional testing, for example, good doctors to refer to, which are very hard to find these days. I'm going to be really blunt, but I have been, especially this last year, I have had a lot of pushback from doctors and some really quite derogatory remarks too. Things they're saying to my clients, like that person's not qualified, that person, it's really quite confrontational that you're like, we're just trying to help. We're all got the same goal, we hope. But there's this constant pushback I'm getting from a lot of general practitioners in assisting that. So going around that and just using functional pathology now is sort of my way forward, because it takes out that middleman and this constant pushback.
Those learnings. And then as a business owner, again, the experimenting I'm sort of hearing as you're talking about that, it's like, well, finding the way that is going to get, at the end of the day, the outcome. It looks like you've done a bunch of things, and it's being able to react to those situations, and you get the feedback like, oh, okay, how's your different approach to this?
There are some fabulous doctors out there, please don't get me wrong, but again, it's finding those people who are willing to. I work with a fabulous hormone specialist GP, and she's like, whatever testing she wants, I'll do it. And which is just so lovely to have that support, because then together we can really help the clients.
Isn't it? When you do, and again, as you've sort of talked about, when you find those people and you get those networks, again, the ripple effect that can have. So that's brilliant. If I'm going to talk on experiments, I'd love to hear any of your marketing experiments that you touched, because you said you had a little bit of a background in marketing.
It's been relevant when you've done it 20 years ago and there was no social media.
Your take is that you have been there and been in a space of marketing. Then as a business owner, in many ways, we're always marketing, but it's what do you actually attach the terminology, the definition of that? So again, I'll be curious as to, let's not even necessarily use the word marketing per se, but what experiments have you done in promoting your business, your brand, yourself? And again, I'm hearing a lot of sort of collaboration stuff.
Yes.
So,
but you've probably, like, perfect timing. This past 12 months, I have really gone into the backbone of the business. So it's been stressful because I've been seeing a lot of clients, which is fantastic. There's no more the merrier. But then you turn around and you spend the back end building this up. So as far as marketing goes, what used to work for me was a social media post equal to client. Honestly, it was as simple as that. And I never paid for ads. I never did anything. It was very organic. And I feel like I was only sitting on a couple thousand followers anyway. That's changed so much in the last, I don't know how long, decade, if not 4 years even. And I have found now that I actually do need to have this presence. So last year I hired a business coach, and she was a specialist around becoming the expert authority in your specialty. And so we honed in on the perimenopause, as I treat a lot of women's health and hormones. And I was really interested in the perimenopause space because no one else was. Like, these women were getting dismissed. The doctors like, those symptoms aren't real. It's all in your head. So I've been treating that for a long time. And we decided doing a masterclass, a monthly masterclass. And using this expert authority, she extracted all the information from me and then built out this masterclass presentation and coached me through how to run that. So that's been great for anyone who wants to start to create a name out there for themselves. I get up to probably 200 women joining, or at least registering each month. I run them monthly. And this is with a few paid ads through Eventbrite. But so it's not a lot of money. Like, you're probably spending, I don't know, $10 a day or something. But it's building your database for starters. But also you come in and you do this chat, and what I want the girls to get out of it is to want to work with me, ideally. So taking them through this journey of what perimenopause looks like, and then talking to them about how I treat and how my treatment is different to everyone else's. So that's been fantastic at getting regular clients. And I will really hone in on this aspect of it. Running programs, I think, is key to allied health practitioners. And the reason for it, and I have been so hesitant to do this, I have to say, I am not a salesperson. I am there to help people. For me to be like peddling a program was just so anti everything that I was, anyway, through my years of doing this, I finally realized that I was actually doing my clients a disservice by not putting them on a program. And the reason for that is, like, yes, you're going to be obviously compensated for the work you do, which is fabulous because we also need to pay the bills. But also it means that they're going to show up. And what that means is that how many of us have had clients that book in for the initial, maybe a follow-up, maybe 2 follow-ups, and then you don't hear from them again. And who knows what they're saying? Who knows what's happened? They've fallen off the rails. A lot of them get embarrassed. They're like, I didn't do the work. I didn't want to see you. I didn't want to get in trouble, which I would never ever do. Whereas you don't know if they're turning around going, oh, Pip didn't help at all. I'm like, but you didn't show up and you didn't allow me to make changes that suited you and to assess where you're at. So when they're on a program, and I do these 10-week Renew You protocol, it's called, and I see the clients weekly for 10 weeks. I don't care if they've done nothing I've asked in that week. I'm going to make adjustments. They're going to show up. I'm going to hold their hand throughout it. And inevitably, we're going to have test results and things coming through or changes in gut healing protocols, things like that. So you're just on them. It means that when I'm coming into a consult, I know exactly where Melissa's at. Whereas the ones that are just booking in when it suits them, they're going to turn up and be like, I have no idea. I haven't seen you for 3 months. Like, I don't know what's happened. And you feel like you're almost overcompensating when it's not your fault.
That's a great example. There's so many components there of, hey, showing that what used to work, and no doubt at a point started to see that difference didn't work, and then it's finding a new approach. And even in his saying that, it's the experiment of the masterclass. No doubt there's been tweaks in how you're promoting the masterclasses, the
Absolutely.
timings, and even experimenting by using a business coach, for example, in some ways.
Yes.
That's an experiment. Hey, we
Yeah.
engage somebody to achieve something, and this is what we expect to achieve by the...
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, there's work behind it. And I've even gone on now to engage another marketing expert, and he's phenomenal, Alexander. Happy to share any details. And building funnels now for ads before, apart from the masterclass Eventbrite. So I have gone down that path. And you know what? It's working. When you find someone who knows what they're doing, and none of this build a funnel in 10 minutes and watch the money pour in. That is not how this works. And anyone who tries to sell you that is dreaming. It took, honestly, 5 months worth of work and weekly catch-ups with him and building this out and even learning how to run Facebook ads and what marketing's working. We're still in the testing phase of all of that, but it's been so phenomenal to what messaging's actually working. For me, I've always thought, because when people come in to see me in clinic, they'll say, I want to lose weight. And it's usually then that it's like, well, your hormones, you're this, you're that. This is the messaging that's actually resonating with people is I want to get my energy back, find my vitality and lose weight.
And I'm guessing that's actually been borne out by the concept backwards and forwards. It's been the testing, correcting, and I'm guessing there's a lot of numbers at the end of the day that go behind that then you can actually point to data at the end of the day, which is, what you, same as your marketing, is what you do with the clients, is there's certain data points when you're getting them to do the test that they need to do. Now
exactly
replicating that in the business world as much as it's just a different version of what that is.
Of what we do. And I think key for anyone who's interested in doing that is finding the right person to work with, and don't try to do it on your own. I feel like Facebook ads is a science degree on its own.
Yeah, 100%. And continue, even as you talked about back in the day, you could put one post up. That was in the very, very early days of Facebook, and it was the old Wild West. It was like, hey, everything worked. Everything turned to gold. But again, things evolve, and therefore now it is so complex, and algorithms and all those sorts of things. So again, it's a cool continual experiment, I find, in business. So
yes,
yeah, that's so many insights there that we could probably delve a bit further, but maybe that might be for a later. We might do another one a little bit later on. But you started to touch upon getting clients onto a program. I'd love for you to sort of share case study, the outcomes where you've done that. You've put people on a program. They've come to you with needing more energy. Those sorts of things of where you've managed to take clients from here to there, and hear a bit about the impact of the work that you do.
Well, I've got a million case studies, so, and I'm so proud of them all. I think that's the best thing, because it's the client that's doing it essentially. I'm just asking them to make a few changes. So I feel like all of my Renew protocols, so more my perimenopause, menopause clients lately, I've had girls coming to me that have not seen their waistline budge in years, some of them a decade. And they're the classic, not sleeping, they're having night sweats, stressed, not motivated, not feeling like themselves, everything you'd expect at this time, which is just so sad, but very common symptoms. I'm very, as I said, holistic approach. So I don't just go let's put you on some wild yam or some Vitex or whatever it is naturally it's going to help boost the hormones, or perhaps you should go to a doctor about HRTs, which I'm pro, and especially if you're working with a good doctor who can do that for you. Things like the perimenopause. So I'm going to go down the path of looking at their complete gut health, because we didn't get to 40 odd without being sick, having antibiotics, COVID vaccinations. Like there's so many, having children, so many things. And the guts, is like the brain and dictating everything that's going on. I'll do some functional testing there, like a stool test, to find out exactly what's going on. And then in the meantime, while waiting for these tests to come in, and depending on where they're at, we'll probably do some Dutch testing as well. So I think all up, I'm hitting and looking at over Dutch test, just quickly, is a dried urine hormone test. So it's the gold standard of hormone testing you can do. We're looking at over 33 biomarkers. This is the way I work. So this all comes into alignment, because if any of that's out of alignment, then you're probably going to really struggle to get relief of any symptoms. So this is what I'm looking at over the course of 10 plus weeks. Some of them we stretch it out a bit longer. Life's different for everyone. Everyone responds differently. I'm definitely not a 10 weeks time's up. I like to make sure they've got results.
Again, coming back to outcomes, you're getting the outcomes. Yeah. So some of those examples then, as far as what was the outcome of taking people and...
Well, Renee dropped, she was down 10 kilos when we finished. And I think it was also 10 centimeters from her waist. So having gone from not moving like a single gram to that, she was now bouncing out of bed straight into a workout. And then she's like, the difference in my diet is chalk and cheese, what she was eating. And she's still eating. This is a problem I see too with a lot of my perimenopause, is they stop eating and just trying to lose that weight, and it has that opposite contradictory effect.
Coming back to the energy we were talking about as far as looking after yourself.
Yes, exactly that. Energize the body, and a lot of women are prone to that just calorie deficit to try and lose the weight, when it's just the wrong approach. So what she wrote to me, she said, I feel 100% better in every aspect of my health. I'm like, I can't get much better than that.
You can't get any better than that. 110% doesn't exist. There can only be 100%. It's so good. That little insight of I'm bouncing out of bed. For me, that's as simple as that. You can picture what that looks like to go. We've all been there in past where we've struggled out of bed to then go from a program, 10-ish weeks, and we're now literally bouncing out of bed, and we've got all these other benefits that have gone with that.
Yes. She's one example. I had my other one who was on, I don't want to say addicted to sleeping tablets, but couldn't sleep without sleeping tablets for years, medicated ones. And over the course of the 10 weeks, I managed to get her off them and sleeping through the night. So that was, and also losing 6 kilos and working out that there was actually mold infestation in a house, and there's all these signs and symptoms. It's a lot. That's why you want to work with people so closely, because you won't pick up on this stuff in 1 or 2 consultations.
I was just about to say that idea of going isolated versus the holistic approach of, hey, there's all these things which are the flow-on effects of going that deeply.
Yeah. And I've even had, just on a short-term basis, I'm working with a couple of guys at the moment, and guys they're great. I love working with men. Not nearly as many hormones.
It simplifies that part of it down a little bit.
Well, you're not dealing with the estrogen and progesterone and all of this. Your testosterone just sort of changes all day. But I tend to see men that are getting more estrogen, and their testosterone's converting to estrogen, and we're getting that aromatization. So they essentially are getting symptoms of women. And I always look at that for every man that comes through the door. It's very difficult to find a doctor that's necessarily going to test for estrogen levels as well for men. But that's a game changer if you find out that's happening in a man's health. I've got a couple at the moment. I'll talk about my more recent guy. He's very new. So we've had our initial consultation. He's on a program with me, and he is extremely obese. He's on workers' compensation. So he's had an accident at work and he's put on a lot of weight. He honestly, the diet, we're talking 4 liters of Coke a day. And a couple of pies in a sitting, followed by donuts. The diet was extraordinary. And then no movement because of this injury. So you can imagine the inflammation, and I always look at weight as inflammation going on in his body. And I sent him off with some pretty drastic diet changes. But even if he made 1 or 2 of the changes that I had asked him to make, he came back to 2 weeks and he'd done it all. And he was down 7 kilos. And he was like, he used to go to bed at 5 a.m. and watch TV and shows all night. And now he's like, I'm going to bed at midnight and I'm actually sleeping till 6. And just like, and you just see someone who's trying so hard, and it's so like, that's a lovely journey to be able to be part of. And he's got new career aspirations. So he wants to go help, children in need and things like this. So again, it comes back to this program. I wouldn't be able to keep an eye on him because undoubtedly we're going to get stagnant soon. So we've got to find a new way and a new approach and make sure that everything's lined up. And I think that's the key to it. Whereas other people, if you don't do a program, are going to get stagnant and go, oh, that didn't work.
Love that. So thank you for sharing those awesome examples and sort of transformations. And again, just seeing you light up, obviously on the video for those who want to follow. Make sure if you're just listening to this, you can also see this YouTube channel as well, but you can hear it in your voice as well, that excitement of the transformations, the changes and the opportunities, and tying that back little end there where the experiment of creating the program, something that you mentioned, that people in this space, there's a lot of value to be had in creating these types of programs in their life.
And I understand it's a lot of work, but I think the point is it's worth it. Just compile the information that you would be giving them and almost like module it out. Think of it like a course.
Yeah, and that's great. And again, it ties in the whole full circle of putting the client first, but then also being conscious of how that works well as a business owner in managing your own. As you talked about, it's like it's easier to be able to manage. Well, I know where they're at.
I know where they're at.
Kind of thing. And then from the broader sense of going to business, management, sustainability, profitability and the like as well, there's obviously benefits that come into that circle as well.
Yes, which we do need to work on as well. It's a business, not a hobby.
100%. And I think that's where coming full circle as you sort of round off the chat. Again, that's where we want a lot of health and related businesses getting these amazing outcomes. We need more of them. We need more people out there getting access to these and availability, because there's only so much we can do as a practitioner to be able to see X number of people in certain ways. And so, again, building profitable, sustainable businesses that incorporate some of these things is what then leads to more opportunity for people to access these types of transformation. So
absolutely,
I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge and your expertise in this space. So what I would also love to do is, as we wrap up, where can people find you, the best way to connect with you and see all the stuff that you're doing?
Yes, absolutely. I'm annoying everyone on social media on Instagram at Pip Reed _nutrition. I don't really do TikTok, but I'm being pushed that way. So watch this space. It's the same at Pip Reed Nutrition as well. And then my website's just www.pipreednutrition.com.
Thank you for sharing that. We'll obviously include those in the show notes. There will be, as I'm pointing down here.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
For people on audio again, what are you talking about, Craig? I'm not pointing anywhere, but we'll have those in the show notes wherever you're consuming these interviews and the like. So once again, thank you for sharing your insights, knowledge.
Thank you, Craig. It's been so lovely. So thank you very much for having me. It's been really nice to chat.
Yeah, again, coming back to community and networks. And again, we're always looking for even people in our world to point into different modalities and what people are looking for as we work with business owners. And we know they need to look after themselves. So being able to share those messages is brilliant. As always, keep on following us here at the Healthy Business Lab podcast across your favourite podcast player, or follow us at our website and on YouTube as well. So that's over and out from another amazing episode that Pip shared an amazing amount of information here. I look forward to hearing and sharing in the comments what's your key takeaway. What have you learned from this episode today? So that's it from us. Have a great week.
Thanks, Craig. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Healthy Business Lab podcast. Make sure you subscribe to keep up to date with all the latest episodes.